My name's Jim Roman, and I'm the organist here at St. Luke's in Houston. And I'm preparing for a performance of Dupré's Stations of the Cross during Holy Week here. And I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about it today. Stations of the Cross aren't necessarily a Methodist thing. You see often in Catholic churches and Anglican churches around the room, they'll have actual icons on the wall. And there are 14 Stations of the Cross, and they document sort of the final moments of Christ's life before his crucifixion, starting with his when he was condemned to death and ending with him dying on the cross. Yes, so this piece was initially improvised by Dupré. He was giving a concert at the Brussels Conservatory. It was during Lent at the time in 1931, and the host who had asked him to come and give the concert initially asked if he would be willing to improvise this set of musical meditations based on a poem by the same name, also the Stations of the Cross, by a famous French poet, Paul Claudel, which was written in 1911, about 20 years prior. So during the course of the concert, the woman would read a station of the time or one verse of the poem, and then Dupré would improvise musical commentary in response to it. And typically when Dupré would improvise, which he was well known for, he wouldn't do any homework ahead of time, really. He would just, whatever came to him in the moment. This case was a little different. He actually did research a lot of themes. So he found these themes that were already established as representing things like the cross, for example. So there's a four-note motif throughout the piece you'll hear that represents the cross, because when it's actually printed on the page, if you draw a line between the notes, it actually forms a cross. So afterwards, this concert was so successful that the next day on the train, he and his wife were talking, and they both had the same idea that he needed to write his improvisation down from memory. And that's what we have today in the Stations of the Cross. There's 18 themes throughout the entire work. Some are rhythmic, others are melodic. So for example, in the first movement, you'll hear, it opens with a trumpet solo that is Pontius Pilate saying, "Guards, seize this man," and you'll hear, and that's supposed to represent Pilate's voice. After that, you have all this tumultuous stuff that is the crowd kind of getting excited about all this, and you'll eventually hear this dotted rhythm, which is actually the name Barabbas, but in the French, the emphasis is on the first part of the word, so that's why it's Barabbas. And just as Dupré originally performed it with Claudel's poetry read between each station, it will be performed the same way here during Holy Week, with music and poetry in combination. So the Stations have become one of my all-time favorite Lenten experiences. I first heard it myself. My dad and I went to a performance that my former teacher was giving at the time, and I was just overcome by it, this combination of poetry and music and working together to form this meaningful experience. And we went every year, and I always said that one day I'm going to learn it. And so I'm glad to have done that now, and I hope to make it a tradition here at St. Luke's during Holy Week going forward. It's just a really powerful set of meditations and time to really reflect on these final moments, these really dark hours of Christ's death before we celebrate his resurrection on Easter. I hope you'll join me on Tuesday of Holy Week at 7 o'clock right here in the sanctuary for a performance of Marcel Dupré's The Stations of the Cross.